Okay, let's jump right in. Have you ever looked around a room and just felt like, I don't know, everyone else is catching on a little bit faster than you are? Like maybe you're just not that smart? Well, hold that thought. Today's explainer is going to completely flip the script on what intelligence actually looks like. What if I told you your brain might actually be hiding a high IQ right in plain sight? Seriously, I want to ask you directly. Are you ready to see how those quirky, everyday habits of yours, the ones you probably even apologize for, are actually scientifically backed signs that you're operating on a genius level? We're going to break down 10 subtle indicators of a highly intelligent mind. Starting off with our first theme, internal processing, we're going to look at how a highly intelligent mind uniquely interacts with itself. All right, sign number one. Society usually labels talking to yourself as, well, just plain weird, right? But what if we reframe that as cognitive coaching? Mumbling to yourself isn't strange at all. It's actually your brain's way of verbally coaching itself through some really complex reasoning. And the science backs this up beautifully. A study out of the University of Wisconsin found that people who verbalize their thoughts process information way faster and they retain it much longer. It's a highly active learning tool. Oh, and a really fun detail straight from the research, Albert Einstein was known to do this all the time. So next time you catch yourself mumbling through a tough problem, hey, congratulations, you are in incredibly good company. Moving on to sign number two, overthinking. Look, we've all been there, replaying conversations in our heads, questioning every little decision, imagining literally 50 different outcomes. People tend to write this off as just a symptom of anxiety, but honestly, it's high-level analysis. In fact, neuroscientists have a specific term for this. It's called metacognition, which literally means the ability to think about your own thinking. When you're agonizing over a decision, your brain isn't just spinning its wheels in a panic. It's actively evaluating its own cognitive processes. It's a massive marker of an advanced, really self-aware brain. Which brings us right to sign number three. Constant self-doubt often feels like this crushing personal insecurity, doesn't it? But constantly questioning your abilities is actually a sign of profound awareness. If you frequently doubt yourself, you almost certainly understand far more than you give yourself credit for. And this is perfectly explained by the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is a psychological principle that basically says the less someone knows, the more confidently they act. Makes sense, right? Conversely, the more you actually know, the more acutely aware you become of what you don't know. True intelligence often masks itself as a lack of confidence. Okay, let's transition into our second theme, output and routine. Let's see how intelligent brains actually manage tasks, handle boredom, and structure their day-to-day schedules. Sign number four is all about boredom. Getting bored easily is almost universally labeled as being unmotivated or just lazy. But we're going to flip the script on that right now. If you can't stand repetitive routines, it absolutely does not mean you're lazy. It means your brain is actively craving novelty and complex challenges. Here's the underlying neuroscience behind it. It's called faster reward prediction. Basically, highly intelligent people have a dopamine system that demands complex challenges to actually feel satisfied. Because your brain computes outcomes so fast, it gets significantly less dopamine from simple repetitive tasks. It is literally pushing you to go find something harder to do. And that leads perfectly into sign number five, procrastination versus active procrastination. Psychologists over at the University of Calgary found that a ton of high IQ individuals engage in this active procrastination. Your smart brain absolutely hates busy work. It actively waits until something truly matters before going all in, which, by the way, is exactly why you often perform your absolute best at the last possible minute. All right, sign number six is for all my night owls out there. Staying up late is so often called a bad habit, but get this. Research from the London School of Economics shows a really strong link between preferring late nights and scoring higher on intelligence tests. Why? Because when the day's distractions finally fade away, creative insights can just freely emerge. It's pure, distraction-free creativity. Now let's dive into our third and final theme, the highly sensitive system. Because being smart isn't just about output, it's heavily about intake and how you feel. Sign number seven deals with sensory input. Do you ever get incredibly annoyed by a ticking clock or loud breathing or just small background sounds that literally no one else seems to even notice? That is not you just being overly sensitive. It's heightened sensory processing.
Your brain is absorbing way more data from the environment than the average person, allowing you to detect patterns faster. But yeah, it can easily lead to overstimulation.
Sign number 8 highlights a pretty hilarious paradox. You might struggle to find your car keys, which obviously makes you feel forgetful, yet you can effortlessly quote a random movie from 2008 or remember the exact date of some tiny fact from a documentary. This is not a broken memory. It's just your working memory flexing its muscles on complex, specific details rather than mundane spatial tracking. Sign number 9 often catches people completely off guard. Feeling emotions deeply is so frequently stigmatized as a weakness. But in reality, deep empathy and the ability to profoundly understand others, that's a massive indicator of neural sophistication. Smart people don't just think deeply, they feel deeply too. Which brings us to the 10th and absolute ultimate marker of a high IQ, the one defining trait shared by geniuses across all of human history. You never stop learning. You relentlessly read, you ask questions, and you constantly seek better answers, even when you arguably already know enough. I mean, if you're engaging with this explainer right now just to understand yourself a little better, that action alone puts you in the top tier of intelligent minds. So let's summarize the core takeaways here, because this is what really matters. True intelligence is absolutely not about grades or standardized test scores or how fast you can solve a math equation in your head. As we've seen, it's defined by an awareness of what you don't know, an incredible adaptability to new information, endless curiosity, and deep empathetic thought. So, the biggest thing I want you to take away from this entire explainer is this. The next time someone calls you too sensitive, too quiet, or tells you that you're just too lost in your own head, honestly, just smile, because you now know exactly what true intelligence looks like. And that leaves us with one final thought to ponder. Are you ready to embrace what intelligence really looks like? Those quirks of yours aren't flaws. They are literally the gears of a highly sophisticated machine operating exactly as it should. Keep learning, keep questioning, and embrace the brilliant, complex mind you have.